Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into life's challenges and how to overcome them with grace and resilience. Today we're going to look at a topic that I'm sure everyone can relate to: rejection. Whether it's getting passed over for a job you really wanted, facing a breakup, losing a business deal, or receiving criticism on something you care deeply about, rejection is something you simply cannot avoid in life. And let's be real, rejection hurts. It can make you question your worth, your path, and your capabilities. So how do you bounce back when life throws you a curveball? Today, I'm going to share with you 10 insightful, tried and tested tips to cope with rejection healthily. But we won't stop there. I'll dive into examples, case studies, and reflections that will help these tips stick with you long after you finish watching. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand how to deal with rejection, you'll learn how to turn it into a powerful tool for personal growth. So let's get started. The very first tip, and arguably the most important, is acceptance. This may sound simple, but it's one of the most difficult steps for many of us. Let's break it down. What do I mean by accepting the answer? When you face rejection, the initial reaction might be denial. You might think, this can't be happening, or they must have made a mistake. It's a natural defense mechanism, but staying in denial prevents you from moving forward. Accepting the rejection is about acknowledging what happened as a fact. You're not arguing with it, resisting it, or trying to change it. It simply is what it is. Picture this: let's say you applied for your dream job. You went through all the rounds of interviews, met the team, and felt confident. But then, you get the dreaded email: "We regret to inform you." You feel that knot in your stomach, the immediate rush of disappointment. What's running through your head? Maybe it's thoughts like, did I do something wrong? Or, I need to know why. Now, it's important first to allow yourself to feel those emotions. They're valid. But here's where the power of acceptance comes in. Rather than obsessing over what went wrong or trying to dissect every word of that email, you accept that this opportunity didn't work out. It may not make it any easier at the moment, but acceptance is the first step to reclaiming your power. Think of this moment as standing in front of a closed door. If you're spending all your time pounding on that door, you're missing out on the 1,000 other doors around you that are begging to be opened. Accepting the rejection is like stepping back, turning around, and realizing there are whole new avenues in your life, just waiting to be explored. Remember, acceptance doesn't mean you're okay with what happened. It just means you acknowledge the reality of the situation. And why is that important? Because you cannot move forward unless you plant your feet on solid ground. Acceptance is that solid ground. Once you have it, you're ready for the next steps. When you're in the thick of rejection, it's easy to get lost in the emotions. All your thoughts focus on why things didn't go the way you wanted. This can make the situation seem bigger, more permanent, more personal than it actually is. That's why distancing yourself, physically and emotionally, is incredibly helpful for gaining perspective. Imagine this. You've just been turned down by someone you really liked. The immediate reaction might be to replay your conversations, questioning every word, every moment. Did I say something wrong? Was I not good enough? But instead of doing that, you decide to create a little space. You head to a nearby park, take a long walk, and simply let yourself be in nature. The trees, the wind, the sound of leaves crunching beneath your feet. These things don't care about the rejection you just faced. They don't judge you. They're just there. And something about their presence is soothing. You feel a little lighter, a little less consumed by the rejection. But it's not just physical distance that's important. Emotional distance is key too. Take a step back from the situation mentally. Instead of diving back into the memories and what-ifs, focus on doing something that has nothing to do with that rejection. It might be your favorite hobby, a book that you've been meaning to read, or even spending time with people who make you feel good about yourself. The more distance you put between yourself and the rejection, through both time and activity, the clearer your perspective will become. You'll start to see that the rejection doesn't define you. It was just a moment, just an event. By distancing yourself, you're reminding yourself that you are separate from that rejection. Creating distance is like giving your mind a mini vacation from the intense emotions you've been feeling. When you return, you'll be stronger, more resilient, and better equipped to see the big picture. Now let's get real. Rejection hurts. Sometimes it hurts more than we'd like to admit. And it's okay to feel that way. We often think we need to be strong, to brush it off and pretend like we're not affected. But let me tell you something important. Suppressing your feelings only prolongs your pain. You need to allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling. Here's an example. Suppose you were really excited about planning an event. You put in hours of work, poured your heart into it, but then it all falls apart at the last moment. You're left with disappointment, anger, frustration, you name it. These feelings can be overwhelming. But instead of pushing them aside with a mindset like, it's okay, it's fine, no big deal, what if you sat with those feelings? Get a piece of paper, open a journal, or heck, even open a recording app on your phone. Name your emotions. What are they? Are you sad? Angry? Disappointed? Frustrated? Putting words to your feelings is like shining a light on them. When you acknowledge them, they lose some of their power over you. And you know what? It's okay to cry. It's okay to shout. It's okay to take that emotional burden and give it somewhere to go. Maybe you need to cry it out, vent to a close friend, or even engage in physical activity to release that pent-up energy. All these forms of emotional release are valid. Processing your emotions is deeply healing. By allowing yourself to feel, you're giving those emotions a pathway out of your system. Only by letting them out can you move them aside. Remember, feeling your emotions isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It's a sign that you're brave enough to confront the things that make you uncomfortable, and that bravery will carry you through to the other side. It's time to talk about one of the most powerful tools in your emotional toolkit, connection. When rejection strikes, it can make you feel isolated. It's easy to believe you're all alone in your pain, but here's the truth, you are not alone. One of the best ways to counter the feelings of isolation that come with rejection is to reconnect with the people who love and support you. Let's dig deeper into this. Suppose you've just gone through a tough breakup. You might feel unwanted, unloved, or alone. It's a really tough place to be. But imagine picking up the phone and calling that friend who always knows how to make you laugh. Or visiting your family, where you can be yourself without any pressure or judgment. When you're with people who love you, rejection becomes just one small part of your life, not the whole story. They remind you of your worth, your value, and the many reasons why you matter. It's like emotional refueling. You're filling up on love when your energy tank has run empty. Remember, humans are social beings. We thrive on connection, especially when we're going through tough times. Sometimes all it takes is a simple conversation to pull you out of that dark place. Maybe you even share a shared experience of rejection with someone close to you. It brings you closer and reminds you that rejection happens to everyone, and it's not something to be ashamed of. One of the beautiful things about friends and family is that they see you in a way that you might not be able to see yourself, especially when you're feeling low. Maybe it's the way they comfort you with a hug, or how they remind you of that funny story from years ago, or how they reassure you that this moment will pass just like every other challenging moment you've faced. The rejection itself may not change, but being surrounded by love certainly changes how you feel about it. It lightens the load on your heart and gives you the strength to move forward. So don't hesitate to lean on your loved ones. They're your safety net, and they're more than happy to catch you when you fall. This next tip is all about reclaiming your joy. When rejection hits, it's easy to get caught up in the endless cycle of thoughts and emotions surrounding what happened. Before you know it, your mind and your heart are consumed by it. But one of the best ways to break out of that cycle is to engage in something that fills you with happiness, something you love. Let's consider another example. Suppose you're an artist who just faced rejection from a significant gallery show. The feeling of being dismissed might drain your creative energy, making it hard to pick up a brush again. But what if you picked it up anyway? Not for anyone else, not for a show or for approval, but just for you? Doing what you love, especially when you're feeling low, serves as a reminder of who you are beyond the rejection. It centers you in the parts of yourself that are untouched by anyone else's opinion. You aren't just the person who got rejected. You're the person who finds peace in painting, joy in writing, or calm in music. By diving into something you love, you're giving yourself a healthy distraction. But more than that, you're giving yourself the chance to reconnect with the joy and fulfillment that's always been present in your life. Even before this rejection happened, it's like pressing the reset button on your emotional health. You'll find that as you emerge from engaging in your favorite activities, you feel more balanced, more grounded, and more ready to face whatever comes next. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to see that rejection isn't the entirety of your world. There's still so much to enjoy and celebrate about your life. So pick up that guitar, those running shoes, or that novel you've been meaning to dive into. Find your way back to the things that make you feel completely, authentically, wonderfully you. Which brings us to perhaps one of the most vital tips of all, self-care. But when I say self-care, I don't just mean face masks and bubble baths, although those are wonderful too. I'm talking about a deep, comprehensive approach to taking care of you, your body, your mind, and your soul. When rejection happens, it can throw your entire system off balance. You might feel low on energy, unmotivated, and even physically drained. That's where self-care comes in. It's about putting energy back into yourself. It's about nourishing yourself in every way so you can regain your strength. Think about it. When was the last time you checked in with yourself? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating well? Are you getting the right amount of exercise? Sometimes the simple act of caring for your body can have a profound effect on your emotional well-being. For example, when you're feeling down, moving your body can work wonders. Whether it's going for a run, practicing yoga, or even dancing around your living room, physical activity releases endorphins, the body's natural mood lifters. Your body becomes aligned with your mind, amplifying your ability to bounce back. But self-care doesn't stop at the physical. Emotional and mental self-care is equally important. That might mean setting some boundaries, saying no to things that drain you, or even getting professional help if you need it. Self-care is about recognizing that you are important. Your well-being is important, and it's okay to prioritize yourself, especially when you've been knocked down by rejection. Self-care could also mean spending a day alone, disconnecting from social media, and simply being with yourself. It might mean reading a good book, taking a long bath, cooking your favorite meal, or meditating. Whatever it is that helps you restore your energy, that's the self-care you need. By taking care of yourself, you're building resilience. You're making sure that when rejection strikes again, you'll be ready, solid, and more resilient than before. Now it's time to talk about using rejection as a tool for self-improvement. It's something a lot of successful people talk about, how they used the sting of rejection as motivation to work on themselves. And trust me, you can do the same. Take an athlete who didn't make it to the final cut of a professional team, for example. Instead of wallowing, they might decide to hit the gym harder, study the game more, improve on their weaknesses, and come back stronger next time. This isn't about revenge or proving someone wrong, though that might be an additional perk. It's about looking at the areas where you can grow. Could you hone a particular skill? Are there aspects of your personality or approach that could use some fine-tuning? Maybe you need to strengthen your resolve or become even more disciplined. Self-improvement is deeply empowering. By working on yourself, you're taking control of what you can control. You're saying, okay, that didn't work out this time, but what can I do to increase my chances next time? And here's the trick. See that space between rejections as your personal training ground. Each rejection becomes a teacher, showing you where you can improve. Maybe you need to add a new skill to your resume. Or maybe it's time to focus on your mental strength with regular meditation sessions. Whatever it is, each moment you spend working on yourself is an investment. Think of successful people who faced numerous rejections before making it big. Like J.K. Rowling, who was turned down by 12 publishers before someone took a chance on Harry Potter. Or Oprah Winfrey, who was fired from her job as a news anchor before becoming the media mogul we know today. What did they have in common? They used rejection as fuel to work even harder on themselves, to refine and better their endeavors. Working on yourself after rejection is not just about bouncing back. It's about coming back better, stronger, and more resilient. And the best part? The work you put into yourself always pays off. Did you know that rejection is an extremely valuable learning tool? It's true. Each time you face rejection, there's something to be learned if you're open to it. But here's the key. You need to replace the question, why me, with, what can I learn from this? Let me cue you into this. After every rejection, take a little time to reflect. Once the emotions have settled a bit, ask yourself some tough, honest questions. What could I have done differently? Was there a gap in my preparation or presentation? Did I aim for the right audience or opportunity? Sometimes the answer might be that there isn't much you could have changed, and that's okay too. But often there's something to be learned. For example, let's say you've been turned down for a promotion at work. It's easy to just feel hurt and let it languish at that. But what if you asked your supervisor for constructive feedback? What areas could you improve in? Maybe you need to enhance your leadership skills, or perhaps more collaboration would have made a difference. Taking this feedback on board makes the rejection a stepping stone. Learning from rejection is like being a detective. You're uncovering clues and insights that will help you perform better next time. The beauty of it is that each time you reflect and learn, you're getting one step closer to the right door that will open for you. There's endless power in learning from your experiences because it ensures you're always moving forward. You're never stagnant. Even in what might seem like a setback, you're making progress. Rejection can be painful, but it's also a mirror. When you look into it thoughtfully, you'll see areas for growth, improvement, and refinement. And through that process, you'll become an even better version of yourself. The next tip is all about perspective. When rejection hits, it's easy to see it as a massive, overarching event that has the power to shake your entire world. But the truth is, in the grand scheme of life, most rejections are just little blips on the radar. Sure, it might not feel like that right now, but with the right perspective, you can place the rejection in its proper place, context. Think about this. When you're right in the middle of rejection, it instantly feels like the biggest thing in your world. Maybe you didn't get accepted into the college you dreamed of, or you didn't get the part in a play that you spent weeks rehearsing for. At that moment, it feels like the end of the world. But now, let's put it into context. Look at your life years from now. Look at everything you have achieved, everything you've experienced, the people you've met, the places you've been. That one rejection? In hindsight, it might even seem small. So small that you might barely remember it. Or get this, it might even be the catalyst for something even better. You see, when you put rejection into context, it loses much of its power over you. Instead of being the event that seems to redefine your life, it becomes just one part of the rich, complex tapestry that is your whole life. And here's another way to look at it. What if that specific rejection was not a rejection at all, but a redirection? What if it's turning you towards something that's even more aligned with your true purpose? Rejection often has a way of forcing us to look within, guiding us to reflect more deeply on what we truly want and need. You might find that the door that closed on you wasn't the right one for you to walk through in the first place. By putting rejection into context, you allow other possibilities and opportunities into your life. So when rejection hits, pause, step back, take a deep breath, and remember, this moment is just that, a moment. It's not the whole story. There's still so much more to come. Finally, let's talk about the exciting part, opportunities. Rejection doesn't just end something. It opens up possibilities you might not have considered otherwise. When one door closes, as the saying goes, another one opens. You just have to be open to exploring it. Here's a story for you. Imagine someone who's had their heart set on working in a particular industry. They've applied to multiple jobs, gone through several rounds of interviews, and maybe even got to the final round, only to be rejected. It feels like a crushing blow, but in the aftermath of that rejection, they begin to reconsider. They look at other industries that use similar skill sets but hadn't initially crossed their mind. Curious, they start researching and discover a field they're even more passionate about. A few months later, they land a position in that new field, and it's a better fit than anything they originally pursued. Think of rejection as the universe saying, "Not this way, try another path." There are millions of paths in life, each leading to different destinations. Just because one path closes doesn't mean your journey is over. In fact, it might have just begun. Here's the magic of opening up to new opportunities after a rejection. You shift from a mindset of loss to a mindset of exploration. Instead of focusing on what could have been, you start to wonder, what else? And what's next? This kind of curiosity lights up new avenues you hadn't even imagined before. Rejection often clarifies what you truly want. It helps you fine-tune your goals and explore options you might not have considered in the first place. Embrace it as a nudge to broaden your horizons, to try something new, and perhaps even create the opportunity you've been looking for. Remember, life is full of opportunities, but they aren't always visible until you start looking for them. So take that rejection, dust yourself off, and get ready for your next adventure. Because the journey, it's far from over. So there you have it. 10 comprehensive tips on dealing with rejection in a way that not only helps you cope, but also empowers you to grow and thrive. Rejection can feel like a roadblock, but often it's a detour to something different, something better, something more aligned with where you truly need to be. Here's the key takeaway. Rejection is a part of life, but how you respond to it is what makes all the difference. With acceptance, distance, emotional processing, and self-care, you can heal. By leaning on loved ones, doing what brings you joy, working on personal growth, and learning from the experience, you'll strengthen your resilience. And by putting rejection into context and exploring new opportunities, you'll continue your journey, not as someone stopped by a setback, but as someone propelled by possibility. Remember, every setback precedes a comeback, and every no is just one step closer to the right yes. Embrace your rejections, learn from them, grow from them, and let them guide you to the next chapter of your life, a chapter that just might be more rewarding than you ever imagined. And hey, tell us in the comments below, how do you personally deal with rejection? We'd love to hear your stories and reflections. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and remember, you're stronger, more resilient, and more capable than any rejection that comes your way. Keep shining, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.